here I am. Finally got the fuel tank out. The 2006 2500 HD. Nice and rusty, as you can see from the rockers. Finally got her out, starting to clean her off. One of the things I see people do online that, you know, I don't know if this actually does anything, but I tape mine when I do these. Just put a little bit of tape over the top just so you don't blow dirt when you're cleaning on mine. Mine was severely dirty. You can see I've been using a wire brush just trying to get some of this dirt out. And I'm using the leaf blower, you know, just to get it off. So, just another thing I try to keep, you know, dirt out of there. I don't know if it actually does anything, but still on to it. Still trying to get this thing off. Took me a long time. Had to put some like penetrating oil just to get this fitting off, because that was so tight on here. Anyways, keep working. Here I am back, almost ready to knock this thing off. I've hit it a few times, but as you can see, there's still tons of dirt coming out from underneath this. Now mine's rusty, you know. You see a lot of these guys' videos on YouTube where they're replacing this and it's speckled clean, you know. Mine's a truck. It's been mudding, it's been working on the farm, you know, burning ass, you know, doing all that stuff. So, but I always use brass everything when I'm trying to. So this is another thing I just got to pump out. You know, you just pull her out. As I check the bottom of the fuel tank, just make sure there's not a ton of crud in it. There's some specks in there, but nothing that's, you know, it's not like there's a big. I pulled out some. They've got rust and all sorts of leaves and gunk in there. But this one looks pretty good. You know, I don't see anything bad in here. Shook it up a little bit, see if anything moves around, but it looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and stick the new one in after I wipe up around here. All you gotta do is wipe up on that lip, because that's where your little washer or O-ring, whatever you want to call it, sits. So you just gotta make sure that spot's really clean. This one right here. So got that all cleaned up. As you can see, that O-ring, there was a pile of dirt in there. I had to get that all out. Looks a lot better than it did. I just used a rag. You know, first I used a rag, just knock the dirt out. You know, shake your shirt out every time you do it. But yeah, it's coming along. We'll see what she do. And there she is. Nice and beautiful. All sweet looking. Cleaned off that. I think we're ready to go. Let's see what she do. So, I don't know if everybody else had this issue, but, you know, my fuel tank strap needed replacing. You know, you saw the rubber coming off, it almost broke. But, you know, me being the lucky guy I am with my old rusty truck, couldn't get the bolt out, so I had to cut the strap with the tank on. I used an oscillating tool with a bimetal attachment. I was able to cut it without damaging the tank. Nicked it a little bit, but, you know, it looks good enough. But I wasn't creating sparks. That was kind of my main issue. So the reason I'm not going to get the strap out is because the nut was turning. It wasn't turning. It was turning while I was trying to get the bolt off. And look at that. That's a beaut. I'm going to have to weld that back in. But here we go. We're back at it. Unclean this out. And then have to weld her back in. See if we can't get that bolt out. Well, as it pans out for me and my rust bucket, that thing's stripped. There's really no teeth on it left, so I don't know. I think I'm gonna end up having to cut that out. Might try a rip saw with a blade on it. I don't think it's not big enough to go through this way. So, I don't know, we're gonna have to see what'll work. I can chop the head off the bolt, but I still gotta get rid of that. So, we'll see what happens. So, after about 20 minutes, I used a rip saw to cut off the bottom part that's between here, like the actual band and the washer and the bolt head. Chop that off here, and then that stud with that nut were in between here. when it goes up in that hole, so you couldn't just pull it out. I used a Dremel cutoff wheel. I don't know if you can see it over there. Am I getting up right now? Yeah, I used that to cut off in between. That's what I cut in here. Alright, we're back at it again tonight. The last thing I left off with was cutting this out and cutting the hanger out and getting that bolt out that was on the back side. Purchased some genuine GM parts. You know, I usually go with AutoZone aftermarket, but you know, I was afraid to stick in that cheap stuff, so I'm hoping this will last a little longer. Hop back under here, I'll show you all what I've got those put in. So there's that one, and then there's the other one. So I think we're ready to shove that gas tank back in here. So here I am, everything's hooked up. I'm ready to start putting it under here. You know, I count my blessings. I do have a garage, you know, which is nice. You know, a lot of people just doing this in their backyard, so I count my blessings. But I don't have a car lift. You know, a lot of these videos I see, they've got these big fancy lifts. This like 5-star garage. I don't have that, so you can't just slide this under here. There's not enough room. It hits that parking brake hanger right there, and it won't slide underneath the springs on the back, and mine hits the damn, you know, step-up rails. So what I do is, you know, just jack her up. It's the easiest way to do it. Jack her up about a foot, and then she's ready to go. You just slide the tank right underneath into the little area, and then you can sit your jack back down, and then I use the jack on the other side to lift the tank back up. I try to hook up things. I kind of have to do it in. Alright, so jacked her up, ready to slide her under, got her in there. We're gonna jack her back. You know, we're gonna let that out and let her hit the floor. We'll see what she do. You don't need that much. You probably need like 12 inches to slide this thing under. I guess when you let her back down, the only thing you really need to be worried about is this. You know, you don't want to break off the seal off of the gas filler neck. I mean, the drive shaft is kind of a tight little area you gotta stick that thing in, but you'll probably be able to line it up prior to you sticking it down. So, finally got that 3/4 full tank on this jack. Last thing to do is just get it settled, make sure it's all the way in the middle. I'll jack it up just a little bit and start hooking up some stuff. Alright, here we go. So, only here to reach the back side is coming up through here. So you can see all the tops here, electrical's hanging, and I gotta feed that vent line over. So we're just gonna go ahead and start plugging along. Hopefully this won't be too hard, but we'll see what's going on. Be back. So back here, getting her jacked in there. Kind of take my time doing this. There's just so much stuff everywhere that you can get caught on. Fuel lines in the front, you know, wires on top. But really the main thing is when you're doing it by yourself, you know, this filler neck, it has to go over, can get caught. So you kind of constantly check and move and come back. But I think we're getting close. I'm gonna jack that up probably another 2 inches, and then I'll try to hook up the steel part of the filler neck here. But moving up slowly, see what happens.